Hello, everybody, and I am Kausar Sultana here with Shail Gulati, back with all of you, for all of you, with his lovely, amazing, magical book, The Yogi and the Snake, and we're bringing to you part 4. Welcome, Shail, on this talk.
Hello, Kausar. Hello, everybody.
All right, so how have you been, sir? You've been doing some amazing work on your page. Some more things Monday with Mahadev, and how's your counseling going?
Monday with Mahadev is a new thing I've begun on YouTube because some
Yes.
friends told me that you must have your own channel. And when I tried to create the channel prompted me to give it a playlist. And it was Monday, so it just came to me Monday with Mahadev. So
Lovely,
that
lovely.
is a 5 to 10 minute story every Monday on Shivji with a little message at the end. And
Fantastic.
Mystic Counseling, we began just 3 weeks back, and we've done plenty of sessions. And I think people are happy going by the testimonials. So all is good.
Yes, yes, I have read the testimonials. For all other viewers who don't know what's happening, please follow Shail's page. You will get to read the testimonials. People are finding it very, very helpful. What he's guiding, his guidance is coming from his experience, from his connect with Shivji himself. So go ahead and maybe you can just have a talk with him and see how it goes for you. Okay. So coming back to our book reading, the excerpts. We're starting today with part 4. If you all viewers are
Okay.
seeing this for the first time, please do watch part 1, 2, and 3 so that you can follow the sequence, right? And starting from the chapter in your book, which is called The Puzzle. I'm going to read a little bit here and then we'll get into our discussion, Shell. So, Shell writes here, the snake writes, at nights the thoughts persisted with him. Sorry, this is not the snake, but the author writes, but this is for all of us. At nights the thoughts persisted with him. Is knowing the self enough for liberation? Is moksha really the ultimate while another being suffers? Okay. Uh, can there be moksha if another being suffers? Now, I picked up the word suffers over here, Shell, for you. That, and I have a question here for you that there are a lot of religious teachings and guidelines or pillars or commandments that, all of these things that they're called. Um, Several such words are used that emphasize on their followers to support or aid those in need around them as much as possible, right? So we do that.
Right.
There are many who are not suffering in their own view, right? So my perception may be that somebody else is suffering, but उस बंदे को खुद को नहीं लगता that he's suffering. This is how my life is how, many of them are quite content. So if they
Right.
are content with what they have, then who are we to label it as suffering? That's one question. Okay. And would you say that this thought process is of ignorance? If I'm saying that, no, this person is not suffering because that's the way, that person seems to be content. So is this where I'm being ignorant, or am I avoiding seeing what it is, or am I in acceptance of how things are, that this is where the way my life is, these are my choices, and this is the way the other person's life is and his or her choices, right? So I'd like to know your views on this, Shell.
Kausar, clearly, there are at least two categories of people who are suffering or who think they are suffering and those who do not think that they are suffering. Ultimately, we want to do away with all of suffering. That is the plan of nature. It should be. First, the people who are suffering and they feel that they are suffering and they say that they are suffering automatically come into the category of those who are asking for help. They want to get out of that suffering. I'm suffering from a headache, so I need a discipline, or I need a physician, or I need a massage, or I need something. So when I'm suffering in the soul and I seek spiritual guidance, then there are those you say who are not suffering, or they think they are not suffering, or it seems to us that they are not suffering, which is very good. They can also be of two categories.
No.
Those who have been through it all and transcended that part, those who have been through some kind of mystical experience, and they see the larger harmony, the larger picture. But they are mostly those people who are, this is like a game, like Ludo or Chinese checkers, or those games where or snakes and ladders, where you have to reach home. And there are many in-betweens, many milestones. You get up a ladder, you get a success in your business, you get married, you go up the ladder, whatever, you feel very elated. Then there's a big snake, something happens and you fall down. So this is like life is like a process, and we say many lifetimes are like a process. Till a point comes where 9 out of 10 people do feel that, okay, now I'm suffering. I mean, so far it has been like that. Mind you, personally, my quest is, why should suffering not end for everybody forever, which is the impossible utopia. But we are talking about what has been observed so far, that those people who think they are not suffering ultimately come to it. It just takes one snake somewhere, and everything is good one day and hunky-dory, and the next day it all flattens out. Look at what is happening in our time. Out of billions of people who inhabit this planet, human beings, many of them were living their lives contentedly and in a routine, and they're all right, and then not much complaint, which is good. And then suddenly something like this happens, and the guy who loses his job, and another one actually gets the virus, and a third one loses a friend, and so on and so forth. So he comes to suffering which he had not imagined.
Right.
So everybody does come to a point in their lives when he records or she records a lot of suffering. Now, the whole point of this book is, or of all the ancient seers, is that point can be one of transformation. It's the crossroad, right? So at that moment we can just give up, or we can say, well, I need to know the soul, I need to know the spirit, I need to know if there is God.
Correct. Right. So that what you're saying, I completely see what you're saying, Shell, very well. You've described it and categorized it rather. But that is an awareness that I will get, that, okay, today I'm content, but somewhere the snake bites, like you said, the analogy of the snakes and ladder game. And then when I drop, that's where I will experience some sort of suffering. I may not call it suffering. People may call it challenging or difficult, or just completely break down on the spectrum. It can be from here to there, right?
Correct.
But what about the one viewing on the other side? So, in my question is, like, reaching out for help, apne se, voluntarily, right?
Yeah.
There are religions, like I said, they guide us to help as many that are around. But what if I have a point of view that, let's say, I'm doing whatever I can, I'm barely managing myself, मैं अपने आप को ही देख लूं, and अपना ही मोक्षा अपने आप में ढूंढ लूं, मेरा गेम मैं ही खेल लूं, I genuinely cannot help another person.
Fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough.
So
fair enough.
Then how does that happen? How
fair enough. Many people begin like that. I mean, you can't, help somebody from drowning if you don't know how to swim yourself.
Exactly.
That's a given. But there are some who, in their mind or in their thoughts, are all right with the way things are, because they realize that there's a bigger thing going on, and that they, mentally they feel they are in moksha, or they are happy, or they're contented, or they know what the bliss game is all about. But they extend that. There are two things. There is the vertical, which is your own spiritual ascension. And then there is always a horizontal, which is your reach to the other. I mean, if you are married and you love your wife or your spouse, or if you are a father and you love your children, or if you have a best buddy and you get anything which is good, you get a new car, you want to take them out for a drive.
Right.
You get a promotion, you want to take them out for a dinner. You get a pass for a rock concert, you say, I want to. So when a person sees that I'm, now into a spiritual realm, which is amazing, and it takes care of the suffering because it is completely a new thing, it's a paradigm shift, automatically he will start thinking about what happens to the other.
Right.
This is what Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, did not think when he left Yashodhara in the palace.
Right.
But when he did become both the awakened one, these things crossed his mind. And there's actually a story there which we'll not go into. When Yashodhara comes to him one day and asks him certain questions about why he left her in the palace, and had he remained in the palace, would he have been enlightened? Right? So that is the change between the Buddha and the Bodhisattva. The Buddha is the awakened one, and the Bodhisattva is one who wants to reach out on the horizontal to the others.
The horizontal, right. Right. So if we actually, it's very lovely again, right? So when you talk about the vertical line and the horizontal line, if we bring them to a cross, then there would be a graph that would start.
Absolutely.
So it depends where one is starting and things like
Yes.
that. And that graph would actually then indicate the internal growth. So
Yes.
maybe somebody may start, rising up on their own, and they could rise up with feelings of guilt also. So what we're also
Yes.
trying to say to all our viewers here is that you might, at some point tell yourself, justify that let me learn how to swim first before I can help somebody else who might be drowning. But in case at any point there is a thought or a feeling of guilt, especially let's say like right now in this whole pandemic, everywhere you see people are reaching out for donations to help the poor and things like that, right? I also got a call yesterday, and I went through this, Shell. It's very interesting, right? During that call, I was so present. It was just a volunteer who called. She's just an engineering student who called me, who's doing this voluntary work, making calls for an NGO who's collecting money for the poor, right?
Okay.
And they've got these hygiene kits and awareness things and things like that. So when I listened to it, okay, I was very, very keen to do something for these people. And she said it's not even like a monthly commitment. Every month you have to pay for this family. You'll be looking after them. Just one time, one payment. Okay. And this is so interesting. I was also observing what was happening inside me. Call ho gaya, and I was very charged up. She sent me a link for the NGO website where I can go on and pay the money. And the moment I saw the amount, okay, there were two things that were going on in my head. One is, yes, absolutely, it's just a one-time payment. I can do this, right? And whatever best option that suits me. They've given several options. And then there's this voice in the back. What if I pay this now? And what if I need the money, right? So there was this, do I do this now? Exactly, right? There was like a conflict. And you know what I ended up doing? I've just put it on hold.
Yeah.
But the action I have put on hold of doing it. However, my conscience is still, reminding me, you've got to do this. You've got to do this. So my thing is, become okay inside. Varna kya hota hai?
Absolutely.
Let's say if I do make the payment, and after I've done it, now if I'm sitting there, I shouldn't have done that. What if something else comes up? The whole energy of that gesture of giving and sharing is just lost in that, right? So I'm giving myself that time to just center myself and be okay with that, and with the trust that if I am, giving out a hand to somebody, and when I do that to somebody will come to hold my hand. That's the trust.
Well, that's one way of putting it. I would not see it as a bargain, and this is case specific as you are putting it. I'm just trying to talk about the general scheme of the game. You're talking about one
really
tree.
Bargain. It's not a bargain.
If you say that I'll give this and maybe somebody will give me back when I need, probably you're pointing out to nature and the way things work.
Yeah.
That may well be the case. But what I'm trying to say is why I'm comparing it to a board game where everybody goes through this. We must understand that first. Right. And the point that we were at was that if somebody is contented and
And we're back. We had a little bit of a technical glitch. Yes. So back to Shell. You were talking about, nature and not, that's not how it works. You're giving us
it could work like that, but I'm talking about the scheme of life as it is as of today, that we are all in this thing. And then I'm talking about a person who's happy with themselves, and they feel that they do not need any other kind of world or any other kind of worldly wisdom, which is fair enough because they are living their life. That is fair enough. I have absolutely no contention about that. I'm very clear about that. That if you're leading a life which is great for you, right? But we are only saying, we are not saying that, you know, you must always turn this way, even if you don't feel the need just as yet. What I'm trying to say is that somewhere or the other, I mean, we go by everybody's experience. What again happened to the Buddha? He saw that someone was dead and he realized this, ye mujhe bhi hoga. He saw old age and he asked his driver, he says, aapko bhi hoga. So it's inevitable. So that way we are a little wiser if we realize sabko ho raha hai, to meri bari bhi aayegi. So can I do something about it? That's one part. The other thing is, you know, there's a very famous adage that when does the guru, for example, come? A guru is a word which is so badly used now, but let's say, when does guidance come? Higher wisdom come? When does a helping hand come from one who's trekked this before? And the answer to that has always been, you know, the guru always been here, but he will appear when you need him. Right?
Can you repeat that, please? Can you repeat that, Shall? It just got cut a little bit. The guru appears.
The guru has always been here. The guide has always been here, but he appears. They say he appears when you are ready. But I say he appears to appear. He's already been there. Krishna has always been Krishna with Arjun. It is only when Arjun says that now I need your help, you know, I'm shaking, my world is getting destroyed, right? So I'm trying to say that nature has a provision for the higher wisdom, and it has a provision for the helping hand and those who have trekked before. And therefore, everything comes into that, you know, sort of arrangement, and it's there for us, right? Now, right now, the current situation is one that the world has never seen. All the world leaders are together. The whole world is suffering with one particular pandemic. Ek chota sa pandemic, you know, we do not know how to handle it. And even the most non-philosophical of us, the atheistic of all, would be thinking, ki ye ho kya raha hai, boss? What's happening? How come we are not able to control it with all our artificial intelligence and our laboratories and our research and our engineers and our scientists and everything?
Right.
So there are many people who would say, is there a higher wisdom? I'm not talking about now, you know, God has made us come down on our knees, so now we should pray to him.
Right, absolutely.
But I'm saying that the scheme of creation has become such that we are all thinking now. We are in thinking mode. Ki ye ho kya raha hai? Right. I mean, how is there such a big snake in the snake and ladders game, which has walloped everybody? I mean, we thought there's a cobra or two or a viper. Ye to python baitha hai kahin, you know? Anyway, so the point here is that, again, even the whole corona pandemic or whatever we've had is also just an instance. We have to get over this also. And we will. We will.
Exactly. That
we will.
We will, yeah.
We will. But I feel that will happen when we dive deep into ourselves and relocate our divinity. You know, some lessons we've all learned, that I didn't need so much. Itni gaadiyan nahi chahiye thi, itne kapde nahi chahiye the. You know, animals ko humne bahut tang kiya, Mother Earth ko bahut tang kiya. Ab Mother Earth ne apne aap ko repair kiya hai. Birds hamare gardens mein wapas aa gaye hain and all that. Those are one portion of learnings. The deeper ones are about ourselves. We've had those also, you know, that I have not spent enough time with my family. I have not had quality me time.
Yes.
I have not gone inwards. I have not been able to expand the way I wanted to spiritually.
Yes.
I will keep repeating that, spiritually, right?
Yes.
And to me, you mentioned religion a couple of times. Religion is very, very different from spirituality to me.
Yes.
Very, very different. What organized religions have to do and what they do, I never want to discuss that, but I give them this, that they have their reasons for it. But it is more a law of the land and a law of the time.
Time, yes, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
But it is not about the eternal truth. The eternal truth never changes.
Right.
The law of the land changes, the law of the time changes, the need of the time changes.
Right.
The need of the land changes. Right. Therefore, religion puts this in its own fold, which is fair enough, which is good. I respect that.
Yeah,
but it has a limit. But it has a limit.
Yes.
Right? It has a limit. Eventually, all these things are being done, all the yam and niyam, the don'ts and the do's are being given so that we can dive within and find out the real divinity. Like Swami Vivekananda said, he said, realization is real religion. Unke time mein word religion bahut use hota tha. So he said, so he used it as a common word between religion and spirituality because he knew better, but he knew he's talking to an audience which doesn't know better.
Right.
So he said, realization is real religion. The rest is all preparation. अब उस एक सेंटेंस में ही उन्होंने ये क्लियर कर दिया कि religion is not spirituality.
Yes.
Realization is. And what do we have to realize? The soul.
Yes.
The spirit. The higher me.
Very true. Very, very, very beautiful, Shail. And there are two things that I'm just going to sum up in this little bit of our discussion for today's part 4, which I really liked. One, you said that, you know, that's very famous quote, which is that the guru or the teacher or the guidance appears when the student is ready. Okay.
Correct.
But I really loved what you said, that the you know, the perspective that you've added, that the guidance is always there.
Yes.
Okay, so it appears to appear when we are ready. I really liked that part that you explained, right? So there again, the element of trust comes in, that it's right there. Okay, so if we hold the thought that it appears only when I need it, that's not how it is. It's always there. Okay,
right.
And it will show up when you really, really need it, or ask for it, or just reach out in whatever way possible. Perhaps these videos are a way of reaching out to you. You know, there are messages, we're getting such lovely messages from our viewers, so we thank you for that.
I'll give you a modern analogy on this one. You know, some of us, especially we guys, we are in Jammu and Kashmir, so we are able to go for picnics and treks and stuff like that. And then when we go there, whether we are expert campers or not, we all like to have a bonfire and, you know, do our little stuff, pitch our tents and everything, just for the fun of it. But that, of course, also has a deeper meaning. We want to get back to nature. But anyway, when we want to light a bonfire or a fire, log fire, now a camper will always have the matchstick with him, we presume, right? Okay. In this case, the lighter or the match is the guru. Now, the log, which has to be set on fire, here God consciousness, has to be ready. If it is wet, it won't light up. जब वो सूख जाएगी, in this analogy, when it is absolutely finished with all the juices of this mundane world, or it wants a better fire to burn it up, to get consumed. When the soul wants to get consumed by the para soul, by the Paramatma,
to rise up. Yes.
When it says, I have had my fill of all this, you know, of all the discotheques, which I love, and all the mobiles and all the lollipops, and I want to see the real stuff, give me the real stuff, then one match will do the trick.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That is wonderful. Wonderful. Brilliant. So with that, we close part 4, and we shall see you next week with part 5. We shall continue. Take care. We look forward to your comments, your questions, and have a lovely week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Shail.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.